This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time to listen to How to Super Age with Elise Marie Collins. And I'm really even more excited about today's show because, Elise, the other day, and I think you tried to get into the seminar as well from the San Francisco Commonwealth Club. And they were talking about the age march coming up. And there were a number of women who were saying, well, are you saying that we can't look good as we age? And that's not what they were trying to say. They were trying to say, do what is good for you. And that's what I love about this show because that's what you bring to us. So let's go ahead and introduce your guests and let's get started.
Thank you so much, Karen. This is going to be a great show for how to look good from the inside out. Before we get started, I just want to hold up my book, which is Super
Super
Ager. And if you want any tips on how to super age, I have a new PDF it's colorful and it's got 10 tips on how to super age. You can go to my website, elisemariecollins.com/tips, and I'll send that out to you. And we'll put that in the links. And I'm really excited to introduce our guest today. She's an amazing healer and her name is Mary Tapa, and she is a heart-centered transformational life coach and the host of another podcast that y'all should check out called Insight Out Alignment Podcast. And that's a platform for self-discovery and creativity. Those are both so important for aging. I cannot emphasize that enough. Mary inspires and empowers all those who are drawn to her to live the highest vision in the context of love and joy. Her passion is teaching clients to unlock their true potential, achieve outrageous success, and have it all, live the life they love living. So, welcome, Mary. Is there anything else you want to add to that amazing bio?
I think you said it all. And thanks again for having me. It's a pleasure and honor to be here today with you and Karen.
Great. Because you have your coaching and the insight, which is the inner alignment, could you just tell us a little bit about how that inner alignment, how do you help your clients, your students to connect to that internal part of themselves? What do you do with clients?
First of all, I'm going to say that we are all human beings, on this earth. We're spiritual beings having human experience because we can only live in this world having this physical body, which is very important for us, each and every one of us to understand. But the very essence of us is inside, is that spirit, whether you call it God, whether you call it higher power, or many people have, depending on their belief system, they have different names, but it is the same. And that is where everything about us is centered. And it is very important, being in the world where there are so many distractions and many noise and a lot going on. It is very easy for us to be swayed away from that very important part of ourself. And my goal is really to help everybody understand that connecting with that power in us is not something that is just maybe because you want to do something. It's a daily thing, and being really grounded in that. Why? And that, because that power itself is only as loud as our willingness to listen to it. And if we want to listen to it, that means we really need to pay attention. And it starts from recognizing that power. It starts from accepting yourself as that divine being and being in sync with that power in the guidance of the things that are happening in your life. Because each and every one of us are here for a purpose. So what I make my clients understand is that listen to that intuitive voice. We always, when we take any action, during our day, there we always have option. It's either we go one way or the other. So making any decision in our life is very important to consciously do them. When we are growing up, we have our environment, we have parents, we have teachers, we have many other things that we take with us. And now to be able to identify ourselves, we have to be really connected to our inner self to be able to understand, first of all, our core values, the things that we are passionate about, and help and give space, acknowledge that presence, acknowledge that spirit of truth to guide us in everything that we do in life. So I just bring people in that space of understanding that divine insights, because those are messages, those are guides. How
Mhm.
Yeah, and it helps us get in line not only with our own personality and the things that we do on a daily basis, whether it's in the four main domains where we experience results in our life, with our health and well-being, love and relationship, vocation, time and money freedom. So it is important for us to get to that space where we have that clarity on what is it we are doing, and knowing that it is in sync with us. Because even when we take certain actions, we know when we are not doing something right. We feel it. Either we are stressed, either we have a second thought. We it's given to us to understand that. And most of the time, we might push it on the side because we have other things that we are used to doing because of our subconscious mind, or the things that we grew up doing, and or we let the environment influence us in doing those things. But consciously making that decision to get more in depth, and making decisions and taking those steps, not saying that it is easy, but making sure we are also surrounding ourselves with people who will empower us, or will help us to see that clearly, and elevate us, and being able to guide us in that direction is very important. So for me, it's just having ourselves and understanding where we come from, who we are, and why we are here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you want to ask a question, Karen?
As I'm listening to this, one of the biggest messages that we try to get across here at New Cleveland Radio is that we have to get in touch with ourselves, because unless you're in touch with yourself, there's no way that you can really communicate with other people.
Definitely.
In being authentic to yourself, accepting the fact that you may be right, you may be wrong, or you may be confused about what to do. And that's okay, because we all come to that fork in the road. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you, Karen. My pleasure.
I have so many questions, but one is just popping up that I'm thinking about as you speak, Karen, is what if you are a people pleaser? I am a people pleaser. I love harmony and I'm very empathetic, but I can often abandon myself in just I love to bring people joy, and I think part of it I don't know, could be programmed from my childhood. What would you say to somebody, or what do you do when somebody is a people pleaser?
I would say I have been there, and I have been there, and it took some real work, and the first person that really drew my attention to that was my husband. But in a way, I got to be like, why are you being so hard? You know what I mean? Like, you're not supposed to be this hard. But I came to realize that no matter how much we love other people, no matter how much we wanna make other people happy, um, we have to set boundaries. And we also have to understand that um, trying to please other people puts us sometimes in a place where we are trying to live somebody else's life.
Mhm.
because you want to live your life. At the same time, you want to set boundaries. You want to be able to make decisions that are in sync with who you are. Sometimes we even want to help people or we want to bring certain messages to people, but if they are not ready for the message, we're going to keep hitting the wall. And that makes you that you're spending so much energy and so much time. And most of the time, this is being looked at as maybe you're weak. That's why you're still trying to do this, or you're trying to, or people will say, who do you think you are? Or maybe something like that. So for me, I believe that just setting those boundaries and understanding that uh, no matter how nice you are, no matter how good you are, no matter how you want to please everybody, you can't please everybody. There's some people will accept that and some people just will not. And you just have to understand that that is how humans are made, and we are all unique in the way we are in this world. Elise is Elise. Everybody has their single blueprint, and that's just who they are in their uniqueness. And for me, what I started doing was I started meditating, and I told myself also that um, I just have to learn how to, forgive and let go and be in a place where even if I decide I want to, I've been doing things and maybe I haven't been getting the same energy back, why hold grudges? You know, I'm trying to please or I'm trying to do this, but I'm not seeing. Not only am I wasting my time, I'm wasting my energy. And because there is no way, even when we say we're having it, we should listen to the power that breathes us. It's a two-way relationship because I know when you are in that space of being, when you are in alignment with it, you feel the connection, you feel the guide. And there is no relation that can be one way. It has to be two ways. And if that is not happening, then that is already a red flag. That is something, that is an information, that is that guide telling us that, okay, this is not working. You just can't keep going there and doing this and trying to please when you're not getting the same energy back. Or it might not, somebody might not even accept what you're saying, but are you able to have a constructive conversation? Because it's not always about people accepting what we are saying or what we are doing. It's about, are we having a constructive conversation? Are you talking? We might have diverse ideas. That's why we are all unique in the way we are. But are we talking about it? Are we exchange? Is there a way to exchange and have a fluid conversation without being judgmental, without being in that place of trying to show that, or the other person doesn't know anything or is stupid or whatever, but is accepting the other person just the way they are and having open, non-biased conversations. And it is good to also have that conversation with ourselves. Like all this, because reevaluation is very important. Sometimes you might feel like it's the other person, but in a way, is it not also myself? And that means we take time to evaluate ourselves in what we say, the things that we are doing, and um, without being in that space of saying we are always right, but having the humility, being humbled to accept and being able to change to be better than were maybe during the day or yesterday, and putting the effort in. Change is not always easy, but I think the having that intention and being honest with ourselves and accepting that yes, we are here in this life to learn every single day and to become better and better. That helps us to grow, that helps us to be one with ourselves and just and share it with the world and those in our world. Everybody's not going to accept us because you're trying to please them, not at all. It's never going to happen, but we just have
Yeah.
to know where we stand and see where the energy goes and go from there.
I like the way you bring it back to the internal alignment And one of the things that I found difficult, and you alluded to it in the beginning, which is that internal voice, it's quiet. I always think about that because I'm a yoga teacher and I'm trying to get people to listen to this quiet voice. And so many of the outside distractions, as you already mentioned, are loud and kind of bombard us. And even when we're with somebody, sometimes it's very stimulating, or even on Zoom, as many of us are interacting, we hear the other people's voices. Do you have anything to say about how can we get in touch with that still small, quiet voice within us? And how then can we also be in touch with that in relationship? Because that's always been a challenge for me.
Great question. I would say, first of all, is learning how to spend time just with ourselves. Be in a quiet place without any noise, no distraction, and acknowledge that presence. No matter what you use for meditation, some people use the Bible, some people just stay silent, some people just set an intention. Um, I'll give you like an example. When I got pregnant for my fourth child, at that time, because we had two boys and then we just had my daughter, and my daughter kept saying, "I need a sister." And when I got pregnant, it was like, oh my God, I hope this is going to be a girl. Okay, as time went on, I just started, my husband and I just started shopping, just got a name, a girl name, and all that. Then when I went in for ultrasound, I found out it was a boy. And I'm like, oh, this little girl, I don't know what's going to happen. So I came home and I said, uh, Tutu, that's her little name. You're having a brother. And she was sad. And as time went on, I'm like, okay, now I'm having a boy. I had a girl name, but now I'm having a boy. So how do I want to change this name, because the name I had for my girl was Rema, which, so I was thinking, so how am I didn't feel like I wanted to change the name, you know. And I said, okay, I just want that guide from the higher power to choose that name. I set that intention, and I spoke that with my husband, like we had a good conversation about it. And he's like, that's fine. And I was having like a really bad cold. Most of the time when I have a cold, my eyes are all like run, my eyes, my nose, everything is running. And I have to be away from everybody. So I decided to sleep in the guest room. And while I was in the guest room, before I went, because every time if I go to bed, I make sure I pray and everything. I still had that intention, so I put it out there and I prayed about it. And I said, I just want you to reveal to me the name of this precious gift that you're blessing my family with. I would love to know what name to give to the baby. And as I slept, a day to the second day, and I think maybe it was like the third day, and we were still talking with, we still had that intention and just being like thankful that this has been revealed to us. Because most of the time also we tend to want to see something before we give thanks. But it's like you want to behave as if you already have it. You have it. Behave like somebody who is already in that place of receiving. Because when he says when we ask, we shall receive. So being in sync with that already, it's a beautiful thing. So I have received this already. I'm so thankful and grateful that I have a name for the baby. And that night, while in my sleep, to be sincere, I've never heard a voice like that before. It was like, like you're in a quiet room, like you can be in a library when there is no noise. Then there is this one sound. And then I heard his voice. He kept saying, Obadiah, 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 3 times. And I got up in the morning, then it came back to me. I'm like, oh, I heard this sound on, like, yeah, in the night. And I told my husband about it. I'm like, what does this mean? I didn't know what it meant. But I kept asking myself then, um, this thought, didn't you ask God to give you a name for the child? Don't you think that is the name? And I'm like, oh, Obadiah. What does Obadiah mean? And I'm like, oh, there is a chapter in the Bible called Obadiah. Let me go check. That's why I read it. Still, I didn't have clarity. And then I'm like, then I talked with my husband, and I'm like, because I need to know exactly what this is. And I said, oh, Obadiah means servant of God. I'm like, is the baby's name? So that was like a wake up call, like not really a wake up call, but like, wow, looking for meaning. And when you set an intention, you also have to be really, really need to pay attention. And I felt so much joy when I found that, when I realized that that is the message I was getting. And I'm like, wow, this is so awesome. I'm like, wow. So the spirit actually talked to me, like giving me the name to my baby. And I felt so humbled. And so I would say it's just getting in that space of acknowledgement and giving it time. Not that as you're asking, it's just going to happen right there, but also stay in the spirit of accepting and understanding that you have it already. Staying in gratitude, being thankful, and you say it and then you let it go. Don't hold too much to it. Like if you feel like maybe you still find it difficult to really connect to the spirit that breathes you, it is important for you to really set that intention and be in that space of when you do it, let it go. Don't be like, okay, how is he going to show up? No, let it go. Just believe and trust that you are connected to it. It's in you, it's in me, it's in Karen. It breathes each and every one of us. It's in all human beings. It's been guiding you towards your career, everything you've been doing, Elise. And it's just getting to that place and knowing that you're starting your day when you set that intention and let you have to be in sync with it by asking questions and be really clear about what is it that you want. Clarity is power. When you are absolutely clear, because sometimes we are a little bit like floating the things that we are asking, and that makes it difficult to identify or to give us maybe a real feedback of what is it we ask because we weren't that clear. So I think having that clarity and stay in touch, making sure you always give it that time and pay attention and always giving thanks. And I say, I know you're here and I'm just so grateful. Like most of the time when I had like homework from school and I feel like it's a little challenging, I would just get up and walk around, then I come back. When I'm going back to it, this is what I tell myself. I'm like, Holy Spirit, I'm doing this work, but I believe that you're doing it in and through me. Whatever I am reading, I'm going to assimilate because you've given me the power of assimilation. I'm going to assimilate this, and whatever I put down will be that which you're guiding me to put down here. Every single time that I have done this, my results have been excellent, no matter how challenging it has been. So it's just putting yourself in that space and trusting and believing that what I've asked is going to be done without any doubt, and go for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so
That's
powerful.
very powerful. And for super aging and aging, and I always think the internal alignment is not only going to help you age well, but it help you. Well, we're all aging. We start aging at the moment of conception. But that internal alignment, the more we can cultivate it, it's going to help us live a better life, and it's going to help us to age better. And I love the story you told. I love that you got the name. Oh, can you say the name again? Odbayu?
Obadia, Obadia.
Obadia, Obadia.
Mhm.
I love that you heard it in a quiet place, because
Yes.
like a library. And then you tied it back to being a student. And I think listening to that spiritual voice, whether it's through dreams, affirmations, and then kind of waiting. We do have to be patient and not non-attached. It's not easy. What would you say to somebody like, I have a son, he's an adult, and he's a scientist. He loves science. And so I always have to translate things to him in a way that makes sense. Like, he's open to my ideas, but I can't always use, I'll put air quotes if you're listening, woo-woo language. What would you say to someone who's a little more agnostic or scientifically oriented? And then sometimes we have those family members, like of course, my son, I'm the most woo-woo person, and I get a son who he's wonderful. He's fabulous. And I think he's very spiritual. But he doesn't always like the lingo, so to speak. What would you say to someone wanting to connect but doesn't always say spirit, or they're not religious?
I would say that most of the time, our kids, they are sometimes a little, there's a little, like, they won't just get what we're telling them until we bring somebody else from the outside in. Um, why am I saying this? With my 4 children, I've seen it like happen a lot. And sometimes I have seen other people, be like, oh yes, this is what is happening. I said this, but I had to bring this in for my child to actually follow this through. So it's like they are so used to us. They see us every day, and sometimes we tell them things, and they feel like they feel like, oh, why is mom saying this? And or they want something to that can give them more proof. I will take an example. One time I was in class and we watched Food Inc. In the documentary, they showed like a lot of how the chickens and all these animals have been raised and all that they used, to raise them, and how this is all the hormones and all the bad things that, are being used out there. Like I was shivering in class. I felt like, oh my God, we are just consuming poison and all that. And the one thing I thought was, oh, my kids need to watch this, because most of the time you say not go to McDonald's or don't, and all these, they will not like really, they don't get it. So I'm like, oh, this is my opportunity to bring that to them. At that time, I think my 14-year-old, he was like maybe like 11. And when I came back home, I talked to my husband, and he's like, oh yeah, we could do that on Sunday. So on Sunday, we all went to the living room. I put that on, and we sat there, watched it, and my son kept looking at us like this, like, what is this? Then at the end of it, I'm like, okay, we can have a talk. What did you guys think about this and everything? And he's like, I think that just told me I don't need to go to McDonald's. I need to watch what I eat. I need to be more conscious. And I believe you guys now even more. So sometimes, and it hasn't just happened with that. And since then, he never will be like, oh, I want to go this, I want to eat that, or I want to. He himself, he is being able, he goes on YouTube now and then he watches stuff, like he does some research about things like that. And he will be like, oh, why are you eating this? Oh no, don't buy no more. Like sometimes he will say, don't buy this kind of snack no more. It's not healthy. It's not this. And it's just so beautiful, seeing that change, that transformation. And one Saturday morning, I came back from work. Saturday evening, I came back from work, and he's there like, and I'm trying to make dinner, and They said, "Oh, we are not eating today. We are not eating this evening. Why?" "Oh, we decided to fast too." What are you talking about? Like you decided to fast? Daddy and you and grandma's fast all the time, and we've decided that for the weekend we're gonna be fasting too. I'm like, "But you guys need to eat at least." "Yes, we ate in the morning. We decided to eat once a day." I'm like, "Okay, is it just today, or is there some other days that you're not going to fast or whatever?" Yes, we'll do it on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, once a day. And I'm like, "Okay, guys, you are very young. Please, can we take some days off? Can you just do it once a week?" "No, we'll do it too. Can we start that?" We are negotiating now. We're trying. So it comes to
Oh,
the point where, right, they are deciding for themselves, and we just have to negotiate and, meet in that midpoint where, everybody's happy, and then we move along. So now they do it twice, Saturday and Sunday. And I'm like, "Okay, if that's what they want, we just have to make sure that whatever they're eating that day, that it has everything that needs to be on there, and whatever. That's their choice. I respect it, and it's good for their health. They're training themselves. Let's let them, empower them to make those decisions themselves." So I would say, to coming back to your question again, I would say, it's not just about the message that you're bringing to him. Look on YouTube or any other message that is channeling what you want him to understand, and let him watch that. Like, give him like several, or it, you can watch it with him as well, and you guys talk about it, and just let him tell you what he feels about it. And the most important thing most is, like, don't push, because every time when we push, it just doesn't work. The person have to be
yes,
in that place where they are accepting to, like, "I'm ready," to be able to start being like, "Oh, yeah." So most of the time we just do it, and we're like, "Okay, there's still resistance," and we just let go. And sometimes we just ran in. One day it's just going to be a surprise, and then you're having a conversation, and everything is just flowing, and you're like, "Wow." But just accepting, while you're doing that, just being the spirit of uh, gratitude, and thinking, and being really thankful that he's found that he's in that place where he's doing the things that you're guiding him, or the things that are empowering to him, and that will make him the best version of himself. So be in that space, and it will just, it's gonna come, yeah, to fruition, right? Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for
Thank
that
you.
wisdom. A mom of four has a lot of wisdom.
Absolutely.
Thank
It
you,
was
Elise.
beautiful.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm just learning too. I learn, I make lots of mistakes. I juggle, and it's amazing. I think the one thing that also helps me is because my husband is also very communicative, and he just let everybody, you have just say your mind, be free to say how you feel. He just want to understand you. And from what he's hearing, then he guides in the other things. So I've learned to, I was like a little bit too pushy most of the time. So I had to be like, "Okay, girl, you gotta chill."
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That helps a lot,
Right.
to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're probably learning a lot with four kids. I mean, they're growing up, but you gotta be a little pushy, but not too much. I'm sure you have a lot to say about that. I do have a question, because Barbara brought up. Sorry, Barbara. Barbara is the founder of the Age March. I want to say Karen brought up the Age March, and I don't think that you've heard of this. So I just wanted to talk about the Age March just for a moment, and then I have a couple more questions for you, Mary. So the Age March is happening March 27th, and it's an online march. And I know I wanted to invite Mary because I think you would love it. It's going to be
Yay, I'm
participants of
coming.
all ages. Yay! And we're talking about ageism and many other subjects. You can go to agemarch.org.
Right.
And I missed the live stream because I came on a little late. There was a pre-party, pre-Age March YouTube video,
Thank you.
and I didn't get on it, but I guess people were asking about does, well, Karen can tell us what they were saying, but the question I want to ask is, I find that I know Mary, and I've seen her beautiful family, and I see, it's almost like I see your internal, like that spirit is coming through you in your eyes and the way, I haven't met your family, but I see the pictures on Facebook, and there's just a beauty. So maybe you could say a little bit about anything about beauty, because to me, sometimes we think beauty is all about external, but it really true, to me, it's the harmony that's coming through. So anything you can say about that, and then maybe Karen can tell us what people were confused about on this live stream that I missed.
Yeah, about aging, I think I've always have this little, I should say, I would love people to know that the numbers is not a problem. I always say they are just numbers. It's how we take care of ourselves. It's from inside, how we feel, the decisions that we make daily. For example, I have a photo of me when I was, I think it was maybe 18 or 20 on my wall in my room. And I tell myself, even when you are 60, that's exactly how you're going to look like. It's just numbers. People in the past, they people lived more than 200, 300 years for those who are Christians. Like you have they tell stories of people. We've come to a place where we are too age conscious. And the more, because where your attention goes, energy flows. And because we are so focused on this thing, like, oh, I am 50, I'm getting old. You get old because you're afraid of getting old, because you are putting it out there. So we have to be careful about the things we say to ourselves. It's just, for example, like you can have diabetes, or I hear people say this most of the time, or sinus, and they're taking maybe some medication to get better, and they say, my sinus. Why are you personalizing it? Why are you taking a hold of something you do not want? That you're taking some medication. It's counter. It's not in sync with what you would love actually to have. But because we have this language, we hear it all the time. We feel it's okay. No, it's not. We have to be decisive and consciously know what we're saying to ourselves and how we look at ourselves. I look myself in the mirror and I tell myself, Mary, you're wonderfully and beautifully made. You're energized, you're vibrant. I tell myself this because that is just how I want to feel. I want to feel energized. And I want everybody who is around me to feel that energy. Because I feel that I don't want to be somebody else somewhere, and don't want to be, I just want to be me. And I just want somebody to accept me just the way I am. And I personally, I want to accept Elise, Karen, just the way you are, and love you as a human being and tell you how beautiful you are. And I just don't want you to be like, because sometimes people be like, oh, you're still so young. And oh, I'm already 60. I'm like, it's just numbers. Can you stop telling yourself you're old? Stop saying those words that you're not looking forward to. Yes, you're an elderly person. Use other words. There are many terminologies that we can use about ourselves. And staying in that consciousness, reminding ourselves and being very conscious of what we are eating. I fast. I love to fast. For me, it's just like, whew. That's one of the ways that I use to, because I know that my cells are renewed. A lot of things in me are being taken care of while I'm not eating anything. I used to do dry fasts. But now I just drink maybe water and apple cider vinegar, or water with some lemon juice, and I am fine. So it's just different ways that we can take care of our bodies, but being in connection and just understanding that that number, because you're 50, because you're 60, because you're 70. I tell my mom, she's 73 years old now, and I tell her, she'll be like, I'm like, Mom, no, not. And then I show her videos of other women who are her age and how they look and how they're carrying themselves so she can be inspired from that. I'm like, don't look at it as because this is, because you're 74, yours is over. No, Mom, it's not over. Take care of yourself. Even if yesterday we did a little bit of yoga and she was so happy. I told her, walk around, take care of yourself and make sure this is what you're supposed to eat, or, nutrition, about the things that we put in our body. This is the house of our spirit, of our very essence. So that means that we take care of our house. We also have to take care of the house. Working from inside, making sure that the house is clean, where the very essence lives. And that is very important. So that's all I can really say is don't look at those numbers as a problem. Love yourself. Learn how to love yourself. If you find it difficult because maybe you've had people telling you you're this, you're ugly, you are whatever, that doesn't count. Who do you think you are? Look yourself in the mirror and learn how to surround yourself with people who would love you for who you are and not just trying to please you, but who will accept you and help you become the best version of yourself. That is very important. The people we surround ourselves with, the things that we read about, the things that we choose to watch, our activities during the day. So all of those, they all come into place. My daughter, one time, she came to me and she said, oh, I was on a Zoom with my friend and the sister came and she started insulting me and my other friend. And she was crying so profusely. And I told her, Venice, and she said, yes, Mom. Do I love you? She said, yes. I'm like, do you love yourself? She said, yes. She said, yes. Does your friend insult you? She said, no. So whatever the other person is saying is not important. I'm like, you determine what you accept. I told her I go to work or when I go out, people have said so many things. I took an example of myself so she knows that it just doesn't happen to her. I'm like, people say a lot of things to me. They've called me names, but I have a choice to accept that or not. Would I let that, take a hold and be the center of my day? Not at all. I'm like, it doesn't matter what they say. I know I'm beautiful. I know that I am a good person. I know that I thrive every day to become the best version of myself. And that is what is important. You know, you are my good girl. You are our good girl. You're God's good girl. And don't let anybody else out there bring you down. You're beautiful. You were there with your friend because you wanted to spend some time with her. And the sister is just frustrated. She doesn't know. She's just pouring her frustration towards you. Many people go through a lot. That's why they do that. So all you can do is send her some infinite love and gratitude and be yourself. I don't want you to ever let anybody else because they said something to you and that you feel this bad. Don't give them, you're giving your power away. Don't give your power to that. And I gave her a hug and she was so happy. It revived her. And she felt like, oh, I'm like your teacher. Do you have any problem with your teacher? She said, no, I do my work and my teacher loves me. Okay. So forget about your friend's sister. And after that, she came, she said, my friend said she was sorry for what her sister did. I was like, see, your friend has nothing to do with that. So don't have any problem with her because, don't make it a problem with her because her sister said that. Her sister might be having a bad day, some issues in her life. So don't let that come to you. So those are different ways that we can actually, not only for ourselves, we can help empower other people around us to make to make their day and to help them see that they are valuable, they are worth it, and that they have what it takes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mary,
Beautiful wisdom.
yeah, the things that you were
Go ahead.
saying, so many of us have grown up listening to those other voices around us, and then we absorb them, and
Mhm.
then those voices play in our head. I mean, I remember growing up and I wasn't part of the in crowd. And so I felt like I was different. I thought I was ugly. I thought I was too fat. I thought all these things. And, but I didn't make any attempt to change anything. 'Cause
Mhm.
deep down inside, I liked myself, but I still was hearing all these negative things. It took me a long, long time to realize I have to listen to what's inside me. And when I do, you know, it's it's a different day. And you're not going to do it every day. You're not going to do it every minute of every day.
Mhm.
Those voices can get to you. Um, but we, like you said, Elise, we are all aging from the moment we've been conceived. So we have to understand this is what living is all about. It's living each and every day and enjoying what you yourself are doing. And if the people around you don't like you or like what you're doing, then you're in the wrong place.
Yeah. And there is one thing I usually say, the people always feel like, but it's my sister. I'm like, my sister is the person with whom I can have a truth and honest conversation. It's not about blood, it's anybody out there with whom I can connect with and we can talk heart to heart.
Love that.
That's just what it is for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I get asked a lot about ageism, and when somebody tells me that they're not being accepted because someone thinks they're too old or something along those lines, I always try to say, why do you want to hang around with those people anyway? Unless it's you're forced to, then just as you said, stay within your own love for yourself and really reinforce other messages. But if there's someone that is judging you for your age, why do you want to be? I want to be around an interesting, different generations, everyone exchanging ideas. That to me is exciting. I think older adults are very exciting, and I want to reprogram that idea. That's why we're having this podcast. So
Absolutely.
And I love what you're doing. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's a reminder. It's just letting people know, just embrace this. Yeah, it's part of our life and you just can't do without it
yes. Thank you. I think
so
that's
much.
all the questions I have. I could spend a lot more time, but I know we have a precious hour together. We'll have to have you back again sometime, Mary. And thank you, New
I'll be
Cleveland.
honored.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Elise,
Very
for having me here today.
absolutely.
Where can we find you, Mary? I know we'll put it in the notes, but if you want to say any last words about where we can find you online.
My podcast, Inside Out Alignment, you go on Google or it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts, Overcast and all that. You can listen there. And then on YouTube, Inside Out Alignment, you have certain videos and some little inspirational videos that I usually post. And my Facebook, Mary Tapa, and yeah, just around. Yeah, those are the places they can
Thank
find me.
you.
My pleasure.
Well, everybody stay safe and have a great day and bring out that inner love that you have.
Yes.
Have a good one. Bye bye now.
Bye.